After months of grueling marches, fierce battles, and facing Russia's harsh lands, Napoleon is finally close to Moscow. He advances with his exhausted army, confident that Moscow will be the key to his victory. To him, Moscow is not just a city, it's the symbol of Russian power, the heart of Alexander's empire. He believes that by taking Moscow, the Tsar will have no choice but to negotiate a surrender. Arriving in Moscow represents the climax of the campaign for Napoleon. He sees the city as the final trophy, the prize that will justify all the sacrifices of his journey. He is certain that, upon entering Moscow's gates, he'll find a city ready to surrender. But as he gets closer, something strange happens. The silence intensifies, and what awaits him will be something he could never have imagined. When the first French soldiers enter Moscow, the silence is absolute. There is no resistance, no sign of the Russian army, and even more surprising, no inhabitants. The streets are empty, the houses silent. It's as if the city had been abandoned in haste, as if the Muscovites themselves had decided that the city was not worth leaving to the invader. This emptiness stirs a sense of unease in Napoleon and his troops. For Napoleon, Moscow's emptiness is not just unexpected, it's disturbing. He, who always found in conquered cities the symbol of his victory, now finds only silence and abandonment. His soldiers, who expected to loot and celebrate, find themselves in a lifeless city. For an army that relies as much on morale as it does on supplies, the psychological impact is devastating. They've come so far to conquer nothing. The soldiers wander the streets, enter the houses, explore every corner, but all they find are dust-covered furniture, half-open doors, empty tables. It's as if the entire city had become a ghost. Every building, every square, every empty corridor seems to echo the absence of the Muscovites, as if Moscow itself were telling the French army, "You don't belong here." But what Napoleon and his army do not yet know is that the worst is yet to come. In the dead of night, when the city is shrouded in silence, the first sparks appear. Small fires begin to ignite in different parts of the city. At first they seem accidental, but soon it becomes clear that it's something much larger. Suddenly the flames begin to spread. The wooden houses quickly catch fire, and the blaze jumps from one building to another. The French army, exhausted and unprepared to deal with such a catastrophe, watches in despair as Moscow turns into an inferno. The night wind feeds the flames, and soon the entire city is engulfed in smoke and destruction. Napoleon, from his vantage point, watches the fire spread. He, who always believed he was in control of everything, now finds himself powerless in the face of disaster. Moscow, which he imagined to be the key to his victory, is being consumed by flames. He orders attempts to control the fire, but it's useless. The city was prepared to resist not with weapons but with destruction. And Napoleon realizes that the Russian people preferred to destroy Moscow rather than see it fall into his hands. For Napoleon's generals, the scene is bleak. They who were once so certain of victory now find themselves before a city in ruins. The flames devour not only the buildings but also the hope that Moscow would bring Russian surrender. They realize that Russia will not surrender easily. This is a people willing to sacrifice everything, even their own capital. Amid the chaos, the French soldiers try to save what they can. They run back and forth in vain, trying to escape the flames. But the city, built of wood, is like a massive pyre. The fire consumes everything at a terrifying speed, and the French army is forced to watch helplessly as the city they hope to conquer turns to ashes. For the soldiers, the burning of Moscow is a devastating blow. They were already tired, hungry, and anxious for rest and supplies. Now all they find is destruction. Morale, which was already low, sinks even further. Many begin to question whether it was worth marching all this way. Each soldier sees in the flames the destruction of their own dreams of conquest. For Napoleon, the sight of Moscow in flames is a moment of profound frustration. He, who had always adapted to circumstances, who always found a solution in every battle, now faces an enemy he cannot fight. He knows his army needs supplies, shelter, rest, but Moscow, his great victory, is now nothing more than a smoking pile of ruins. The sacrifice of Moscow is a clear message from Alexander and the Russian people to Napoleon. They will not surrender. No matter how powerful he may be, no matter how many victories he has won, Russia will not submit. It is a monumental sacrifice, a declaration of resistance and national pride that resonates deeply in the heart of every Frenchman watching the flames. With Moscow's destruction, the French army is engulfed by uncertainty. They are in hostile territory, far from home, without supplies, and now without the prospect of victory. Each soldier feels the weight of the situation, and many begin to wonder if they will ever return. The triumphant march to Moscow has become an endless nightmare. And so, with Moscow in ruins, Napoleon finds himself in a desperate position. He has taken the city but lost the prize. And as he contemplates his next move, the Russian winter begins to close in, a winter that will turn this campaign into a true nightmare. In the next chapter, we'll see how the merciless Russian cold will test Napoleon and his army like never before. Don't miss it.